There are some questions popping around occasionally about which oil we should use in an LT230 transfer case. Some people are putting ATF in them and some people are putting 80W90 gear oil in. Which is best? Well, for your viewing pleasure, I'm going to test both on my test bench with the 300 TDI transfer case that's just been rebuilt, and we're going to check the heat signatures and the speed outputs for both of them. So this is part 2 of the test. This has now got 80W90 oil in it. It's a bit cooler today. It's 16.7. Okay, 16.7. So let me get this bad boy fired up and we'll see what, get the speed set up on the motor to 1900 RPM. So, it's nearly 17 Celsius this morning, it's getting a bit cooler. The motor's turning at 1900 RPM, but the output shaft is 1347. Yesterday with the ATF and it was 1365, so there is a bit of drag on it. Doesn't mean like it's Danny the Roo or anything like that. Again, spot on 60 kilometers an hour, so I'm going to go and get some breakfast and we'll leave that running. Right, so now we've got 113 kilometers on this box and we're going to have a look at the temperature. This is around 45 degrees Celsius. It's quite hot. I'll come back to this in a minute, but one interesting point to notice was that the output speed hasn't changed. Even though it's 1900 RPM going in, it's 1347 coming out. Whereas on the other one it was 1365. So bear that in mind, I'll be back in a minute. Oh, sorry about that, I had to deal with the customer. But that was interesting, wasn't it? Well, I found it interesting. Why am I doing this? Why? It seems pretty pointless. People said, you should put a load on this gearbox to get a real rating. This motor is only 3 horsepower. A Land Rover engine's what? 110? Like a 300 TDI? Not quite the same, is it? Other things that came up in conversation, because I do read your comments, why bother putting ATF in? Well, somebody asked me, because they'd seen the same data as I have on Dingocroft's site, and then they said putting ATF in the early vehicles, and then when it got to TD5 they were saying put gear oil in. I couldn't work it out, so I thought, well, seeing I've got the test bench here, what a fine time to do a comparison between oils. And I've learnt something too, because from now on, when I test a gearbox or a transfer box, all I'm going to do is fill it with ATF, because it flushes the gearbox, the transfer box out lovely. It really gets all the poo and things, because when you're assembling you get maybe a bit of dust or something like that, so we want to make sure all that's out, and it's easy to drain and even easier to fill. I noticed too that this one, when I started it up with the gear oil in, was, my screen's going, was considerably quieter than the ATF. The ATF was a bit bangy and clattery, and I don't know. Somebody said about oil circulation. Well, they said it'd be more sticky on the teeth. Well, that might be so, but there again, on the other hand, the ATF will get into all the bearings a lot simpler than gear oil. And they said, well, gear oil shouldn't, you know, like ATF shouldn't go in the gearbox, but you put it in the R380s and LT77s, you know, what's the difference? They're still gears. I know the Land Rover gearboxes had oil pumps in them which required a thin oil. I don't know. But I thought it was interesting. The temperature was different as well, obviously because of the cutting action, the shear action of the oil is pushing the temperature up. But I'm going to drain that off now. Or should I? No, I'll just bloody leave it. I'll leave it. anybody who buys that box can have a good little box already full of oil. It'll probably leak. But anyway, that's it. If you have any questions, let me know. But like I say, I've tried to answer them. I can't put a load on it because the motor's too small. If somebody, I've got a 10 horsepower electric motor, 3-phase, 600 volts. If somebody's generous enough to buy me a $4,000 inverter, knock yourself out, I'll make a new table. But is it worth it? No, not really. Oh, another thing somebody said, they wrote in the comments this morning about, like, nobody knows if a diff lock works or a high and low range works because they're usually all the linkages are rusted up. Yes, indeed. I think probably 9 out of 10 transfer cases that come here all have the linkages seized up. It's crazy, isn't it? Oh, and another little bit of an update whilst I'm here. I did an upgrade on the TD5 transfer case not so long ago. We took some Disco 2 gears and put them into a TD5 transfer case. We had to do it like that because all the electrical switches and components are in there. And the owner said it ran like a dream, it's lovely, and it was just what he wanted for his TD5 because he had the ECU flashed for a little bit more performance, and he says it's a lot better than the 1.44, whose gears happen to be in here now. So everybody's winning because this was a Disco 2 box, so I just made one up. It's easy, isn't it? Well, sort of easy. Right, that's enough of that. We'll see you on the next studying adventure.